It's dishes and dies. It's dishes and dies. The people are comfortable with us enough that we can come alive as soon as, you know, they recognize what this is. Hello, everybody. We're all kind of hurting from yesterday's game, so.
That's the word to describe it. Hurting.
Should we introduce ourselves? Did we just completely
I think so.
My name's Imman. Hi, everybody.
I'm Kelsey. Hello.
And the rest of our co-hosts, you know, left us to talk about the brutal game. They wanted to avoid some of the pain, so we're here to talk about it, or to kind of ignore it and be a little bit optimistic moving forward. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it was more optimistic than the first game, so we can talk about that part.
Yeah, no, definitely agree with that. The Raptors, I thought, outplayed the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics just had the best shooter in the history of the universe, named Marcus Smart.
Yeah. The only one that had more threes than him last night was Diana Taurasi on the Phoenix Mercury. So,
all right, sorry, the second best 3-point shooter. But yeah, like, okay, I have a question for you, I guess, just to sort of start this off, because I recorded a little bit yesterday being like, Marcus Smart is not going to shoot this well from three ever again. Like, we know what, like, regression to the mean, like, it has to happen eventually. Do you think that we're ever going to see that in this series, or is that just not a thing? It's a small sample. He can get hot for 4 games in a row. What do you think?
It can happen again. I mean, we've seen what DJ Augustine can do to the Raptors. We've seen what Frank Kaminsky, of all people, can do to the Raptors. So who's to say that Marcus Smart is not the new Frank Kaminsky?
Yeah, we should just start calling Marcus Smart Frank Kaminsky from now on.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Frank the Tank is now. I mean, Marcus Smart's kind of built like one, so it kind of works. The Frank the Tank.
He's more fitting of the name, I think, than Frank Kaminsky is.
Definitely. Do you want to talk about the game at all? Like, should we go over that, or?
I mean, it was a good game. It was very close, and I remember thinking at the end of the third quarter, okay, you know what? Chip away at this lead. Just chip away. Don't chuck up threes. Don't do any of that. And as soon as I said that out loud, they started chucking up Hail Mary threes that never went in. So, I mean, that's kind of frustrating, but I'm sure that that's something that Nick Nurse is going to give them a swift kick in the ass about.
Yeah. I you know what? My whole thing is, like, I don't think that the Raptors, it's hard because it's like, yeah, the threes that some of them were taking, you could have found a better shot. But also, I don't want to get to a point where, like, Kyle Lowry or Fred VanVleet have a good look and they're passing that up. Because, like, these are still 2 elite 3-point shooters, and they've been given some good looks in the first 2 games and they haven't been missing it. I think if we get to a point where they get in their heads and start not taking those shots, then the Raptors are in serious trouble.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with being in their own heads. I mean, it's Boston. It's like this weird rivalry that's been going on for a little while, more than a little while, but it's never actually gotten to the point where it can become a rivalry, and now it is, and it's so much pressure.
So much pressure, and it feels weird to call it a rivalry too, because I think that, like, it started before any of the players outside of, like, Kyle Lowry and Marcus Smart were on either team. Like, the Celtics look like a completely different team, and the Raptors look like a completely different team from when all of this started.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and we thought, okay, Gordon Hayward's gone, you know, it might be a little less challenging, and they've kind of proven that they're just fine without him.
Well, yeah, when Marcus Smart turns into the best player, best shooter in the world, like, who needs a Gordon Hayward at that point? He's just going to bring the 3-point percentage down. Should we move on from this game and talk about some more fun things with the guest that we have?
We absolutely should do that.
All right. Forget Boston. Forget Toronto. We're not going to bore ourselves with the hurt and the pain. Let's talk about our guest that's coming up.
We lived it. We don't need to relive it. Someone else who has lived it on a professional level, and with a lot of the guys that are actually in the bubble, is Raptors 905 and Hamilton Honey Badgers guard Duane Notice. So he's going to join us in just 1 second. once I figure out how to let him in.
There we go.
Here we go. He's a little sideways, but we'll fix it.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. How's it going?
It's good. Sorry, I had to get inside my boot, so it took a little while.
Yeah, that's okay. For anyone watching that doesn't know, Dwayne tore his Achilles during the CBL summer series. So he's a little immobile at the moment, but getting back to it, we've seen him in the gym. We've seen all the workout videos that he was doing like 48 hours after tearing his Achilles, like any normal human on the planet could do. But Dwayne, Imman, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm doing better now. I'm in better spirits. Just been working a lot, like you said, just trying to focus on other things outside of basketball, because I feel like just, taking advantage of this opportunity just to be better, not only on the court mentally when it comes to just watching a lot of game film myself and on the NBA, and just off the court as well, just spending more time with family that, I never used to get to be able to do because I'm always traveling, and then being able to just commit to other passion projects of mine.
I love that you mentioned your passion projects, just because whenever there's someone who excels at a particular thing and like dedicates their entire life to something, I'm always interested in like, what are those side projects? Like, what else do you do when you're not playing basketball or not training or not traveling? Like, what is it? Netflix? Is it just chilling in front of the TV? Because that's what I do. But like, what is it for you?
For me, I'm a big person when it comes to media. So I love just the whole realm of that medium in terms of, I love movies. I personally think if I didn't play basketball, I'd be like a movie critic or something involved in film. I studied film at school. And I love just like stuff like this, podcasts and different, mediums and forms of ways to communicate. I feel like it's very important for us to give everybody a voice. So, in my spare time, I like to joke around with my teammates and hold, very, I guess, debatable conversations. And I just thought to myself that because of basketball, I've been allowed to meet so many great people, from coaches to players, that I might as well put these conversations to good use and put them on film and have it be displayed for the world to see, so that, other athletes, younger athletes, other people can look up to it and get some advice from it.
That was very nicely put. Do you have any sort of movie recommendations for us, or is there a favorite genre of yours?
See, like, when everyone asks me that question, it's so hard for me to give an opinion, because I'm like really into this movie stuff. So I'm talking about like film noir from like Citizen Kane
Is there
days.
like something like a plebe like myself who is not so well versed in film? Is there like, here's a way to get into like this is a classic that is not talked about? Like, we know like, some of the bigger classics that everyone kind of talks about, but what's a hidden gem that you might recommend to the people watching?
Oh, that's so tough. I don't know. Like, what kind of genre are you into?
Yeah, you asked me the question that I just asked you, and I have no idea.
Like, I like romantic comedy. I think romantic comedy is like,
I love rom-coms.
Really dope.
Yeah.
My first kind of introduction to that as a kid was like Pretty Woman. That was kind of like my
movie.
First introduction to romantic comedy. I'm a big comic book fan. I'm a big thriller action fan. So, and I love horror movies and stuff. So.
Yeah, I think you hit all of those except for comic books. I've never really been into comic books. Kelsey, are you with me on this? Or are you with Dwayne? Are you?
No, I'm with you, and I'm also with you. Okay, Imman, did you see the Joker?
No. Can I admit to that?
This is a heated debate between Dwayne and I. He says it's great. I said it sucked. Well, I didn't say it sucked, but I said it could have been a lot better.
Okay. I wanted to watch it, and then I didn't, and then I never felt compelled to go back and do it again.
Don't waste your time.
No? Okay, because everyone, I'm going to say this, and this is going to be a hot take. Everyone and their mama was obsessed with The Dark Knight Rises, and I watched it, and I was like, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Like, you can't. I love Batman. I love Batman.
Batman
I'll raise you a Larry Bird. How's that?
There we go.
Love it. No, I love Batman. That's something that I mean. I have him tatted. I have a tattoo of Batman on my hand. So I don't know.
So is that your favorite superhero?
My favorite superhero by far, just because his origin story, everything he's been through. He doesn't have any superpowers, and I feel like that's what makes him so relatable to the public. Is that he doesn't have any superpowers, but he's able to still be superior because of how hard he works when it comes to his fighting styles, his journey. Both his parents passed away, and he was able to turn that into something, and have that kind of negative aspect of his life kind of fuel him into be something great. And I just love just how strategic he is. He's like a overthinker, and I'm a Virgo. I'm an overthinker as well. And so he just think about every possible
Is your birthday past
scenario.
or is it coming up?
September 7th. So
Okay, there we go. There we go.
And I just love it. I just love the whole moniker of him have like a dual personality. Like you wouldn't even know that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Like it's just a dope concept. I don't know. I love his suit. I love his gadgets. I don't know. I just love Batman.
To tie this into basketball, and that's just like a really cheesy question. I'm so sorry, Kelsey. But like, if you could compare yourself to a superhero or a comic character in general, like your game, I want to not Dwayne the person, but the basketball player. What would you liken yourself to?
What I liken myself to, I mean that's tough because I like a person like me. I'm such a critic when it comes to my game. That like Kelsey would probably be a better person to answer that question. Like I don't really know how.
A Virgo that's a self-critic? What? I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know anything about superheroes really, but I would say the Hulk because like on the court, Dwayne takes charges and just like uses his physicality the same way like that Kyle does, except he's not 35 years old. So you can take those hits better. And anytime I listen to something or I'm not at the game, they're always talking about how he's like using his body and he's so physical. So I would have to say the Hulk because I know that he like smashes things.
Yeah.
There we go.
I can see that.
Okay, perfect. All right, Kelsey, I cut you off, I think, there with the question.
Oh, I probably had nothing important to say. I don't even remember. So
was it better than my what is your superhero character?
You played for Team Canada for quite a while, so you are familiar with some of the guys in the bubble. When we see everything that Jamal Murray's doing, you know, on the court, off the court, are you surprised at all?
I'm not surprised, to be honest. I'm not. I can just give you a quick little story. Last summer, when the Team Canada, we had the senior men's national team training camp before we headed to Australia and before we went to China for the FIBA World Cup. Jamal was sidelined with the injury. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think maybe it was ankle or his hamstring or something. But he was still at training camp, and he was on the side getting his work in, literally doing what I'm doing right now. Like, he was sitting on a chair form shooting, even though he wasn't able to, like, put a lot of weight on that leg and do, you know, certain things because of mobility reasons. But he was still getting it in. He even played me in a left-handed shooting competition. And I was thinking, like, this guy's crazy. Like, why is he shooting it with his left hand? Like, who knows how to shoot with their left hand from the free throw line and from the three-point line? Like, how much time on your hand do you have to, like, dedicate to your craft? But that's just a testament to how hard he works at, like, his skill. So I'm not really surprised about this. I'm glad the whole world gets to see him at this level. You know, Denver's not really a big market team. So, you know, he's not really on ESPN or TNT every night. So he doesn't really get probably the credit that he deserves. But I'm glad that, you know, being in the bubble, he's putting on this showcase and having an efficient and a great, like, series.
Who do you have for Clippers and Nuggets?
I mean, I'm gonna be biased and pick the Nuggets simply because I went to school with PJ Dozier, and that's one of my teammates. And you know, I'm a big fan of the way his career is progressing from being in the G League to like 3 to 4 years to finally sticking with the team and potentially finding a home in the NBA with the Denver Nuggets. And then obviously Jamal Murray, just supporting him and the Canadians. Never get upset when a Canadian wins a championship and or wins a series in the playoffs. And then, I just like to see Denver go far. I think they have a lot of young pieces, and I think it's really good for them to kind of just everyone be thrown into the fire and then make it out on top.
I think you are kind of in agreement with Imman and I when we say we just don't want Paul George to win anything.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm going to add Patrick Beverley. Kelsey, don't hear that, but I'm just tossing that in there really quickly.
She loves
Oh,
Pat
yeah, I
Bev.
just had to mute myself really quick.
Yeah, Paul George, I respect his game, and I've met Doc Rivers a couple times. Like I like Doc Rivers. He's really, he really knows his stuff when it comes to basketball. He's really introspective. He really knows his X's and O's and his philosophies, and he's a great guy to talk to, a great man. But yeah, I respect Paul George's game. I just don't like him sometimes. I don't know how to explain it.
I feel like the whole world's with you. I don't think you need to explain that one.
Someone said before, like, they've never met a Paul George Paul George stan. And I'm like trying to rack my brain, like, who says that their favorite player is Paul George?
Paul George.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Definitely, like, check himself off. PG-13 is my favorite thing.
It's ironic, though, because I really enjoy wearing his shoes. Like, his shoes are actually extremely comfortable to play basketball in, so.
Well, there you go. He makes good shoes. He does something well. We found something for you, Paul.
And you're a big fan of Montrezl Harrell's game as well, right?
Yeah, I am. I just think, you can't go wrong with someone who's consistently bringing energy on an everyday basis. I think that's personally one of the reasons why you either love him or hate him, similar to Patrick Beverley and those kind of guys, where it's like they're on 100 whenever they step onto the court. And you could either respect it or don't like it, but like you said before, Kelsey, it's one of those things where you love to play with them, but hate to play against them. And that's literally Montrezl.
Yeah. So is that the type of guys that you sort of gravitate towards, is just like high energy? That's what you see is in yourself, like just like a high energy guy who's going to use his body, who's going to take every sort of advantage.
Yeah, I like playing with high energy guys because, like, I think I'm like a counterpart to it, because I'm actually more of a, like, I play hard consistently and play with a lot of energy, but in terms of just my demeanor, I'm not the kind of guy that's rah-rah. I don't celebrate. If I dunk, I'm not, like, screaming. I'm not, like, throwing up signs when I hit a three-pointer. Like, I don't talk trash in games. Like, even when guys talk trash to me, like, I don't really say nothing back. I just, like, laugh it off, or just, like, I'm pretty cool with most of the opposition I play with anyway, so I don't really get trash talk to. But, yeah, so it's cool playing with guys who are high energy, because I'm not the guy that's going to be talking trash and screaming in the crowd and doing things like that. And you need guys like that, because that's like a momentum shift. It's a momentum boost. And it's good, especially when you're on a run, or you need to, when you need to get some energy. Being in the bubble, there's no crowd. I know it's a virtual crowd, and it's whatever, the virtual audio. But having a guy like Montrez or a Patrick Beverley is really good for your team. It's good.
When you, I guess my question is, like, as a younger kid, as a child, who did you want to sort of monitor your game, or sort of mold your game after? Like, who was that for you when you were a kid? Not so much your best player, but, like, molding your game after.
Okay, I was about to say, because being from Toronto, like, Vince Carter was the reason why, majority of my age group, and I'm sure guys around, my age group, whether it's a little bit older or younger, even wanted to play basketball at a high level, just because he put basketball on the map for us. But I don't know. I think it was a mixture. As a kid, I used to really like Dwayne Wade's game, just the way he attacked the basket. I felt like it was somebody who never really settled for jump shots. And in his prime, especially when he won the championship with Miami in, I think, 2005, he was like the king of bank shots. And I used to always like think that was like so impressive that someone could get to their spot and consistently make that shot, because whatever angle he hits it off the backboard. And just the way our body types were, we were like similar in body shape. And then as I like lifted weights and got a little bit older, I'm still a kid though. I kind of like to model my game after Deron Williams, because he was like a bigger guard. And he could shoot the ball better, and he could handle it better than Dwayne Wade, in my opinion, at the time. So, like, those kind of two guys. And then I was fortunate enough to meet Steve Nash and have a relationship with him. And I think that's where my game kind of changed. I looked at basketball at a whole different level in terms of just getting everybody involved and just different little nuances that Steve Nash did when he played in Phoenix, especially. That kind of made him a great point guard.
How is that? Like, as a Canadian kid, Steve Nash, we talked about Vince Carter, of course, being from Toronto, but also just as like a Canadian kid growing up, Steve Nash is the biggest Canadian athlete to a basketball fan, at least the biggest Canadian athlete to a basketball fan. So how is that kind of getting to meet him, learn from him, and grow with him with Canada basketball?
It's an amazing experience still to this day. It's an amazing experience. The fact that he's able to open doors for us Canadians and then still keep that line of communication open, I think is tremendous on his part. It's literally the definition of paying it forward. So, meeting a 2-time MVP near the end of his career, and then having him kind of impart wisdom on me when it comes to pick and roll offense, when it comes to little things like head manning the ball. Like, so basically when you get the outlet or get the rebound, instead of dribbling it up yourself, the ball travels faster than you dribbling the ball. So if you just pass it up, doesn't mean that you're not going to get it back. Like little stuff like that as a kid that I didn't really understand playing point guard or shooting guard for my teams. But it was definitely a good experience. I know for a fact that when I was making my decision to go to the University of South Carolina, I had a few schools that I was looking into. And we spoke on the phone, like through text messages, about just like weighing out my options and things like that. So I think that was really cool too. That had a real impact on the decision I made to go to university. And,
did DeMar have anything to do with that a little bit too? Maybe being his Toronto kid, DeMar DeRozan, did that have a little bit to do with it too?
No, I didn't go to that USC. I went to University of South Carolina. Honestly, we say is the real USC, but debatable. But yeah, that was really cool. Just having, and to this day, still have a relationship with him. Like when I made the Final Four, he reached out. Like it was like he's really just an amazing person. He's obviously a great basketball player, but he's a better person. So it's cool to have someone like that explain their experience and their knowledge when it comes to the game.
That's great. Now we have basketball that's happening in the bubble. Who do you think, like, I feel like it's kind of like even without the Warriors in it right now to kind of dominate, it feels like an open playing field. Do you have a team that you think is going to come out? I know we have the Nuggets bias here, but like, who do you actually think is going to win it all?
Who do I think is going to win? I mean, it's
push the Nuggets aside with the bias there.
Yeah.
Besides the Nuggets, who do you think is going to win it all?
It's hard. I mean, because I want the Raptors to win, but it's hard. It's hard not to pick the Clippers simply because of the amount of weapons they have, and I think they really understand like their identity and their roles. Like obviously, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George is the catalyst for the offense, but then you have guys like Reggie Jackson who are hitting open shots and shooting at a high level right now. You have guys like Lou Williams, who I know his like pick and roll efficiency with Montrez is like, I think is like top 5 in the NBA. And then you have other guys like Jamal Green who are able to spot down and hit threes. And then they defend. Like that length is crazy. It's like seeing Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Jamal Green, and like if Pat Beverly comes back healthy, like just seeing that length and them on defense and the way they approach defense with the same kind of intensity they approach offense is, to me, is like all the skills and intangibles you need to be a championship contending team. But at the same time, I've never, ever since LeBron's been in the NBA, ever counted them out. So like I can honestly say the Lakers might win it all, especially because they get all this rest, with dealing with the Portland Trailblazers kind of early. LeBron being rested is a very scary LeBron, so I don't know.
Very true. Did you who's your GOAT, LeBron or Jordan? If someone asked you, go to greatest of all time.
Someone's asking me greatest of all time. I'm different. Like I'm from I would say Michael Jordan right now, specifically because I'm just a fan of people who were like innovators, and I feel like Michael Jordan was the pinnacle of like what every great basketball player should be. And I think it's amazing that LeBron, Kobe, and a whole bunch of other players are able to emulate what he's done and take it a step further in different aspects. So I think when it's said and done, LeBron retires, I might change my opinion and say it's LeBron. But right now it's hard for me to – I'm just one of those guys who like to pay to the guys who paved the way before us. Like, so I'm gonna go with Michael Jordan right now, and because he made Space Jam, like that's honestly my favorite movie of all time. So.
Kelsey, are you a Space Jam fan?
I like Space Jam. I don't think it should be remade, but I like Space Jam.
Oh yeah, what do you think about LeBron remaking Space Jam?
As a movie fan, I'm equally optimistic, but I'm also like, I don't think they should do it as well, because when it comes to classics, sometimes, like Kelsey said, you shouldn't touch it.
Don't touch it.
However, it's 2020, and I feel like the technology from the green screen to the animation like has improved tremendously since Space Jam came out in '96, I think. So, I mean, I'm excited to see the work. It's similar to like they're making another Matrix right now with Keanu Reeves, and that trilogy to me was amazing. You don't have to touch it anymore. It had an amazing sequence to the ending. But like I said, 2020, there's a whole bunch of new technology. Like there could be new stunts, just new aspects of the movie that we wouldn't have envisioned before because we were limited with technology back then. So like I'm excited from that aspect to see that movie come out, like Space Jam, to see how they it still looked real back in the day with Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan, but it could, like, who knows what they could do now with the technology that we have.
That's what we thought about Willy Wonka, and then they did the Johnny Depp one and it was trash.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a fair point too.
That's true. But see, for me, I like Johnny Depp, but he's like, him and Jamie Foxx to me are like hit and miss sometimes. Like that's just how I feel about those two characters.
What's a miss from Jamie Foxx?
Miss? Man, he's been in some bad movies.
I was gonna say,
one, I did not like him. I did not like him playing Electro in Spider-Man. That made no sense to me. I don't know why.
Oh yeah,
like, why he wanted to do that role.
Never saw that one.
But usually all his like biopics are really good because he's amazing at imitating other people. So like Ray and movies like that, he was like really good in. But there's some other movies out there I can't think of the top of my head that like I was just like.
They're probably like comedies that weren't that great.
Yeah, or he did a movie I think last year, 2 years ago, called Sleepless, where it was like kind of like a bootleg Taken with Gabrielle Union, and I just thought that was, I don't know why he chose that role. Like I
feel like there's so many black thrillers like that.
Yeah.
There's so many genres. Like there's so like it's one genre of like there's one with Taraji, there's one with Gabrielle, there's one with like so now Lathan is just like the same movie.
Crazy.
So before you were talking about, you know, trash talking on the court and how you're kind of not about that, and I've seen that, and I've gotten frustrated when you're like getting these shit calls and you don't say anything to the refs. But what's the funniest trash talk you've ever heard on the court? Like, has there ever been anything that just made you burst out laughing?
Oh yeah, by far. March Madness. We were playing Duke in the second round, and so they had Grayson Allen. They had I think his name's Frank Jackson that plays on the Pelicans. They had Luke Kennard, and they had Jason Tatum, and they had Emile Jefferson. So like I think all those guys are in the NBA actually right now. But when we were playing against them, you know, they kind of took us lightly, and it was just a legendary moment to play against Coach K. You know, someone you grew up watching on TV, and like literally he floated when I was like watching him coach. He just like floated. He was like dapper down, dressed amazing, and just like his cologne was like $1 million. Like he was just like flawless. So it was like kind of intimidating playing Duke. Like I said, like a team that it's Duke, you know, North Carolina and Duke are like one of those teams. Like so, but Jason Tatum. So we ended up playing the game and we were winning. Like pretty much the whole game we were winning, but we weren't like blowing them out. We were just winning by like 5 to 10 points every now and then. And my teammate Sindarius Thornwell was talking to Jason, and basically he was just like saying stuff to Jason. And Jason replied by saying like, I don't care about this. Like I'm going to the NBA. And I thought that was like the best like thing I've ever heard. Like I was like, yeah, that's true. Like he doesn't really care. It was pretty funny to me, but yeah, I've been around some funny like stories. I don't know, people saying stuff, acting tough about where they're from, and we're playing in Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm like, come on, man. Like saying like they're throwing up their like hood and whatever they're from, and we're just like, yo, we're in Erie, Pennsylvania right now. Not relevant to basketball. No one's afraid of anybody in Erie. Like the guy, I think the guy that was saying that was from LA or something. So it's like, okay, I'm sure like you come from a rough neighborhood out there, but right now we're playing basketball, which is a game, and you're talking about all this off the court, and we're in Erie, Pennsylvania. Like, isn't it? That was funny to me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talked about meeting Steve Nash, of course, well, having like a relationship with Steve Nash, really learning from him, meeting Coach K, and that being a starstruck moment. You come across a lot of, I'm sure, people that you grew up watching. Mm-hmm. What was the most starstruck you've ever been?
I have a few. So it's hard to like rank them. Mm-hmm. I played in the Jordan Brand Classic when I was in high school, I think 2010. And so we got an opportunity to meet Michael Jordan then. So that was obviously like pretty cool. It was like all of the kids on the team, or like the team, both sides of the team, I got to sit down in a room, and he just came in and kind of just spoke to us. And then we had like a Q&A with him after. I met MC Light, which I thought was amazing because like that was someone my mom grew up listening to, like as a rapper. So like having that moment of like, yo, you're MC Light, and I love loving basketball. And you know, Light as a Rock is one of the main songs on there.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at her. I literally, this is before FaceTime, but I literally like took a whole bunch of selfies. I told everyone take a picture so I could send it to my mom, and it kind of like made her like day. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's so sweet.
And then a couple of years ago, when my team, we were playing in Memphis, and basically we were playing the University of Memphis, and the day before that we went to the game where Memphis was playing somebody, and this is when Vince Carter was on Memphis. And so my whole team knew for I was a senior, so like for 4 years I'm over here bragging about like Vince Carter, because in the States, like everybody kind of knew him as like the slam dunk champion. They didn't really respect it. Like I'm like, he used to get buckets. Like, you guys are bugging. Like, he was like a real scorer. He was like more than just a dunker. And so they knew my admiration for him, my love for him. And after the game, our team was going to get an opportunity to meet Vince Carter because our team chaplain was his like ball boy when he was at UNC back in the day, like his team manager. So he knew him personally. So he was going to get Vince Carter to come out and like speak to us and like come eat with us. But Frank Martin, our head coach at the time, he called like a film session. So we had to leave after the game and go. And then one of my teammates, and Darius, actually, he was like hurt, so he wasn't playing the next game. So he got to stay back. He didn't have to go to film. So Vince Carter made like a little video where he just said like, "What's up, Dwayne? Like, I'm sorry, like you had team film and you couldn't be there. Heard you're a big fan. Like, I love Toronto." And he was talking about like Mississauga and Scarborough, like he was really out here, like in the GTA.
That's so
and
sweet.
He sent me like a 4 to 5 minute video of him just talking about Toronto and how he appreciates that, like he inspired me and a whole bunch of other Canadians, and like he addressed me by name. So like that was like a starstruck moment for me as well. Like I said, being a Vince Carter fan.
Definitely, that's really sweet of Vince Carter.
Yeah.
I'm like easing up on my non-forgiveness of Vince Carter now, I guess.
Oh, I've completely forgiven Vince Carter. Vince, I love you. Come back.
What can I ask? Because I was never on that temperament and that side, and you know, I asked Leo this question all the time because I had like a relationship with Leo Robbins. I know he was like broadcasting heavily back then when that whole stuff went down. But like, what was this thing? Why was everybody so upset that he like left? Is it because he stopped? Like, in everyone's opinion, he stopped trying, or
there
he
are a
stopped
couple.
caring, or
There's a YouTube video if you have time after this. Search up Vince Carter, so like Vince Carter with a W.
Yeah.
It's like it's from a Canadian broadcast, like I guess 15 years ago or so, and it lists the top 10 reasons why Canadians hate Vince Carter. Goes through a bunch of things. It's like he quit on the team. He was trying to like pretending to be hurt. He demanded a trade.
That's all the things I heard. Yeah.
And it was there was also I don't know how true this is, but the idea that during the timeout he went over to the Seattle Supersonics. I don't remember the details of it all, but like apparently going to the Seattle Supersonics bench and maybe telling them the play that the Raptors were gonna run or something like that, which is like who knows how true this is, but the idea of like a superstar who like gave up on a franchise that loved him all, which is like the Raptors had terrible management. There were a lot of things going on back then, and I talked about this. Like there was he came on Tim and Sid a while ago, and he was like, a day before I was traded, I literally went to Sam Mitchell and was like, "Tell them not to trade me. I want to stay."
That's what I was thinking.
He went to the GM too. He was like, "Tell them not to trade me. I want to stay." But Rob Babcock is the most incompetent human being who's ever touched a sports franchise. So you know it happened, and people blame Vince for it.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you're the leader. You're kind of also the scapegoat, and you're kind of like responsible for whatever happens. But I did hear those reasonings. I just personally didn't understand it because I was like, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he tore his Achilles, but I know something really did happen to him. Like he really did get hurt. Yeah, he hurt something for real. And then my dad was telling me, because he's obviously a big basketball fan, he was saying that like people just didn't like that he was always smiling and goofing around. And then now that I'm older, I'm just like, man, like I don't know. It's just crazy how we look at basketball sometimes, where it's just like it's a child's game and we're getting paid for it. It's like I know a lot of people hold athletes to a high standard, but it's like that, like they can't have fun. He can't smile on the court. It has to be like,
I think if it happened today, I think with the way that we view players as like we believe in like player empowerment, I think more today than we did back then, where it was like very sort of team centric, and it's like you're going against my team, I'm against you, as opposed to like this is a human who's making a decision for his own life and his family. And so I think if any of it happened today, it would feel a little bit different. And I think part of it is that as Canadians, we have a chip on our shoulder about Americans not liking us and Americans not thinking that we're good enough. And so I think that was definitely, like, that's kind of part of it where, like, it touched us in some, like, insecure place in our hearts.
I agree.
But also, like, he did kind of, like, just even looking back at his numbers, like, if you go back to that year and you, so the split between the Raptors versus Nets, like, that whole season, I think he, like, ended up averaging, like, 15 or 16 that year with the Raptors and, like, 27 with, like, the Nets. Like, it literally was, like, it was, like, a 10-point difference. So it's, like, he was
probably
hurt,
lost motivation to play and all that.
Exactly, right. which is, like, fair, I think, if we think about, like, this person in a terrible sort of work environment for him.
That's what I'm saying. If you related to anything else in life, it's, like, if you're somewhere for, like, how long was he there for? Almost 10 years, maybe?
He 98 to, like, 2004? 98 to 2004, so, like, 6 years.
Somewhere for, like, 5+ years, then you, like, in a
Oh, you're cutting out for me. Kelsey.
It's just not working.
Is he cutting out for you as well?
Yeah.
It's like, what you gonna do? Like, some people are gonna be like Damian Lillard.
You came back. We can hear you now. I mean, your screen's frozen, but we can hear you.
There you are.
Oh.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm back. There we go. I hear Damian Lillard's name.
Yeah.
There we go. You're back.
So I was saying some people are like Damian Lillard, like, where they, they're in a situation and it's like, I'm here. I'm just going to push through. If I continue to lose, at least I'm giving everything I got. And some people just want to change the environment. They just want to change their atmosphere and just, like you said, I think the times are different because if it was because now everybody's going to different teams. Look at Paul George has been on 3 different teams the last couple of years. Like,
No, definitely agree with that.
The thing about Vince Carter for me is I would feel a lot better if he just told us what happened.
Yeah, that, honestly, I agree. I feel like he should come out with like a disclaimer and just address what happened then to probably put a lot of people at ease.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he would have left, to be honest, if like Masai Ujiri was president at the time. Like, I do think it has to do with like he was a superstar, and like you said, he was so much more than just a dunker. Like, he would get buckets at that time. He was one of like, and at that time, like coming into that sort of like, he came in the 98 draft from like 96, 98, like around the time that Michael Jordan had retired, and you have all these like young players come in, every shooting guard, every sort of wing that came in that could score and that was crazy athletic. It was like, is he the next like MJ? Like, they did that with Kobe, they did that with Vince early on, like they did that with all these people. So you're talking about T-Mac, high expectations on this kid, and he was great in his first 2 years. Like, the Raptors made like that sort of we talked about Jamal Murray just like going crazy in the bubble and having these 50-point games. Vince and Iverson were doing that in 2001. Like, they were kind of fresh into the league at that point. They were the young superstars. They were like Jason Tatum. It's like that same sort of age range. Think about Jason Tatum putting multiple 50s in a game. Like, that's crazy at this point, right? So it's like the trajectory for him was so high right away, and I think that was a lot of pressure. And then you're dealing with a management team that I think there were like rumors, and like all of this is like my memory from like a million years ago, so I don't know how much of it is true. But like the idea of like, I think he wanted to draft possibly Wade over a Bosch, or he wanted to move the top pick at the time for a player that could help him as opposed to a rookie coming in that draft class. And so there's different things, and like management just completely ignored him. And I think any star who's like, dude, I'm the best player on your team. I am your team right now. You're not listening to me. There was some issue with like his mom and parking spots, but it was like, you're not listening to me. I want this sort of special treatment because I am the best player. And anyone would get that. Like, Dame is getting that in Portland, and that's why he's happy, right? And so it's like anyone would get that. And I feel like management screwed the pooch. But also, this is just rumors and things that have come out over the years that an obsessed Raptors fan has collected and stored somewhere deep in my brain. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I think we're coming to a close. So I guess we can ask you, how's rehabbing been?
It's been good. I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of people that have either been through similar situations or that have just been supporting me and sending me a whole bunch of love from the day I got hurt to now. So I think that's been helping me. And then, I mean, Kelsea knows because she was there, but like I got hurt and then I got surgery the day after or 2 days after. And I was still back in the arena, like just cheering on my team and watching my team. But that was just for my mental state because I feel like I've never had a major injury before. So, I mean, I'm 25 now and I've been playing basketball since like organized basketball since I was like 6. So like I've been playing for a long time. I've never had a situation where basketball has been taken away from me. So that was tough on my mind when it initially happened. Like I wasn't upset. I didn't even feel the pain. I was just like more so mentally just drained. Like, wow, I worked so hard to get to this point. I was playing well at the time. And then for me to get hurt, it's just like, and then I had to take like 6 to 12 months off. It kind of like made me feel real negative about just my path and what I'm doing and why it happened. And because I was around basketball and because basketball is back in the bubble and stuff, like it's allowed me to take my mind off of my situation and still kind of be around the game. So that's been good for my rehab process. And then, because of COVID, there's a lot of stuff going on when it comes to basketball. So it buys me more time to like take my time in this healing process. So like, I don't know, I was supposed to be in a boot like 2 weeks ago, but instead the doctor put me in a fiberglass cast for an extra 2 weeks just to be extra cautious. It was the same surgeon who saw who saw Kevin Durant last year when he tore his against us in the playoffs. So having that relationship, working with him, it's been real cool. It's been real good, and I've been able to form shoot. I've been able to go to the weight room. I've been able to get physio. So it's a long process, but it's been good.
That's good. I think.
And when you see, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say. I think that like we as fans underscore the mental aspect of it all, which might even be the bigger part of it, as opposed because like I feel like players are so regimented that like if your doctors or your like team staff give you sort of a routine, it's like okay, the workouts is one thing, but the mental aspect. I'm glad you touched on that.
It's tough, man. It's. I've been keeping a journal. I've been writing down goals, aspirations. I mean, I've always done that before, but now like more so predicated towards my injury. I've just been holding myself accountable. Like I just want to make sure I have more good days than I do bad days. And basically, like I said, I've been around a lot of people. Like one of my best friends is Tyler Ennis, and he broke his leg like a year or two ago. So for him to come back from that and then see like the level he's playing at, it just inspires me as well. So I'm just been blessed to be around people that have been through similar situations and who are continuing to outpour their love. But yeah, the mental side of it is tough because like I'm not gonna come back the same. Am I gonna come back better? Or even like now I'm out of my cast, so I can see my foot, and like I'm allowed to put it down, but like my brain won't make that connection. It's like nah, don't even put weight on it. Like you might re-tear it, like when that's like not even a possibility right now.
Right.
You know? So it's really like a mental thing, and I think that you're right. A lot of people look at athletes and they look at us like, I don't know, just like commodities, and they don't really understand that we're people too, you know? Like even things like I was about to go sign to play overseas, but now I don't have a job. So it's like now I have to find other ways of income. Like, you know, luckily I've been saving money from when I played before in the G League and played overseas before. But like just that aspect of you're not getting the same amount of money that you're used to getting because you can't play basketball right now. So like there's a whole bunch of things that have to go into it.
But you're doing something that kind of touches on, you know, the more mental aspect and the more internal stuff with athletes. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so like I was kind of alluding to before, just I went to University of South Carolina. I graduated in broadcast and public relations, so in journalism and communications. And I never really, outside of, the Raptors did an amazing job last year. I got the opportunity to job shadow with TSN last year. Sorry, it's my baby sisters. And that was a crazy, just a crazy experience for me. And it really made me want to get into media. But because of being a basketball player, you have a million things you're doing, and that's like not really your focus. So it's kind of hard to look at, stuff outside of your craft. And so I feel like this injury is allowing me to just take time to slow down and see life at a different angle. I've always understood that education is important, And I've always valued the relationships that I've had. Like we just talked about the many different people I've been introduced to and had the pleasure of having a relationship with. And I felt like I always have discussions with these people that are just amazing. And I feel like are something that the community could benefit from. So why not put that onto camera? And I just wanted to be similar to like this platform where it's just like an open, free, informal, be yourself as if we were just talking and we weren't recording. Like I want it to be that kind of vibe. Too many times I think that when, you know, especially being an athlete, when I'm getting interviewed, like your words can get misconstrued or, you know.
Or you get asked stupid questions like, what comic book character?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. But no, they do ask crazy questions where it's just like, how do you feel after that loss? It's like, what do you expect me to say?
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy that we lost. Like,
I think it was Blake Griffin or JJ Redick, I forget who made a really great point about like, we just worked out for 2 hours and then you're sticking a microphone in our face talking about a loss. Like, how do you like, like, imagine going to the gym, being on a treadmill for 2 hours and then someone sticking a microphone in your face and like asks asinine questions. I'm like, that's crazy.
And it's like,
I never thought of it like that.
And they ask us, sometimes like they'll ask us like questions, I don't know, like just not to get too like political and stuff, but
like that Jamal Murray interview. Whew, I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, like stuff like that where I'm like, I'm so happy he was like prepared for it. But like there's times where you need a second to think about how you're gonna respond to like the police injustices, the police brutalities, the whole presidency situation over there and the whole like Black Lives Matter movements and stuff. And it's crazy that after a game they're like expecting you to like speak out. And it's cool because I understand we have a platform. But that's why I wanted to build my show, which is called Take Notice, because I wanted to give athletes the opportunity to be in a comfortable environment like this is now. Like me talking to you guys right now is comfortable. But like you said, after a 2-hour game, if someone's like, what do you think about Donald Trump? I might have to like, I'm gonna be like, oh, like obviously I don't like what he's doing, but like I want to formulate and articulate myself properly. So like how, like I need some time, like I need whatever. So that's pretty much what my show is about. It's going to be about asking questions about players that, like, for example, my first episode is going to be with Tyler Ennis, and I'm not going to just talk about his journey. We're going to talk about other stuff that people probably don't know about him, that, like, you know, some little fun facts that people don't know because he's my friend.
The character he is.
Exactly. Like everyone thinks he's a quiet guy and he's this and that, but he's really a funny individual, outgoing and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the platform that I want to build for us athletes, as being someone that's in basketball and in media. I wanted to highlight the great people that we have around our sport, whether it's journalists or analysts or players or coaches. And
can you plug it again? Can you tell us the name one more time, just so everyone?
Take Notice. It's called Take. It's a play on my name, Take Notice. So
yeah.
And where can we find it?
It's going to be on YouTube. It's also going to be on my IG, which is Instagram, IGTV, which is at Duane Notice, DUNOTICE. And yeah, it's going to be on my YouTube channel. So the first episode drops this Thursday. And like I said, the first episode is with Tyler Ennis, which I didn't even tell the world yet. So it's like an exclusive. And we have some good things in the works. We have a whole bunch of special guests.
That's great. I'm excited for that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, especially because we kind of called you in last minute. But thank you so much.
Fine.
We didn't want to talk about the Celtics anymore. We needed a break from that. So this was welcome. Thank you.
And I hope
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Jason Tatum told, like, his trash talk yesterday was like, I don't care. I'm gonna go ride Harry Potter World. I don't know.
No. Did you guys talk? The Raptors were 0-2 last year, so hopefully.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Serge Ibaka has come back twice from being down 0-2. So I mean, with him, this might be like the third time. Who knows?
Third time's the charm. Exactly.
Right.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Dwayne, for being here, and we will see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Bye.